For those of you who are writing a history extended essay, you need to go and read page 184 through 192 in the extended essay guide. It will give you every bit of information that you need about writing a history extended essay. But I'm just going to go over a couple of things. So, the overview is that you are addressing some sort of in-depth research in an area of history that interests you, and it can have local, regional, or global significance. It doesn't matter. Your research question is often going to start as with, I'm sorry, how significant, how successful, to what degree, how, and there's some information at the top of this about that. Your choice of topic, something of particular interest to you, maybe that your focus has to be on the human past, thus history, at least 10 years ago. And that's really important when it comes to um, the scoring. So make sure you do that. It has to be worthy of study, meaning it can't be something that's super obvious that everybody already knows. And it should lend itself to systemic investigation in line with the published assessment criteria. So that is the grading criteria that I'll go over real briefly, but you should really read about. There's a description of why the 10-year rule applies. Mostly it has to do with the fact that it is a history essay, meaning it's something that's already happened, that some scholars have already thought about. There is academic writing on it, and you're not just writing firsthand about something that's very, very new. There are some examples of topics here. On the right, you see broad topics, and on the left, you see the focused topics. You really want to go for a focused topic because this is not a report on a particular issue. You're not saying everything you ever have learned about that issue. You are making an argument and you're supporting it with evidence. So, for example, this last one, the coup against Allende in 1973, that is too broad. That would just be a report. An extended essay topic would be an examination of the extent to which the overthrow of Allende in 1973 was the result of external factors. That topic you would then turn into a research question. One way to help yourself narrow down your topic is to think about cause, effect, or causation, consequence, change that occurs within that historical context, continuity, significance, and perspectives, different perspectives that people or academics or historical figures have had on that situation. You can do sports and music, but they have to be historical perspectives. Okay. So your sources, you get higher marks actually if you include primary and secondary sources. So primary sources could be letters, they could be photographs, they could be propaganda, they could be interviews that you've either heard, seen, or read. They can't be interpreted, if that makes sense. So your secondary sources would be someone did an interview and they did an interpretation of that, and wrote an essay about it. That would be a secondary source at that point. But you guys can look up what primary and secondary sources are and make sure you include like one primary source so that you can support your essay as strongly as possible. So the other thing that's really helpful that's in the guide here is examples of topics, research questions, and approaches. So this one, for example, how far was the Christian Democrat victory in the Italian elections in 1948 influenced by the Cold War tensions? And then this approach is sort of the explanation of how the student considered that topic. So I will let you read this, and I hope that you will because it's really important, even if you feel like you're kind of crunched for time, to look at the EE guide as suggested to you last year, and think about how you can better meet the criterion. The grading rubric is here also. So